Hi folks, thanks for being here. Start the meeting. Public comment.
Public comment.
Do you want me to stand up, or
Yep.
you said yeah?
No.
All right, mine's kind of lengthy, so I'll go as fast as I can. My name is Shannon Thompson. I'm a resident here in Point Roberts. My husband and I wrote a letter to the editor of the APB, but he chose not to publish it in the print edition. It was a letter supporting Stan in his re-election and expressing our gratitude for his work as commissioner. I want to make sure that you all understand that that gratitude extends to all three of you commissioners for doing the job you've done. It's a fact that our fire department is working better than it ever has in its entire history, and that's due to Chief Carlton. Your contribution to our community in getting him under a long-term contract is laudable, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know if I ever have an accident or need medical care while I'm at home, I have him and or his team to take care of me. And having had care here before, I can tell you that wasn't good, and now we have great. He's a hard worker, a man of integrity, and he will serve us well for many years. I wrote an email to the APB about not running our letter. I stated that we thought it was because it didn't fit into Pat's political agenda. His reply was a bit of a non sequitur, and part of it I'll read to you. Our role as a newspaper is to cover district business and to ask or raise questions about management and operations when warranted. We are talking about public safety and significant tax revenues here. The public has a right and an interest in knowing their business is being operated. Asking tough questions or pointing out lapses, such as the Commission's failure to obtain legal review of long-term contracts, is not an example of a newspaper following a political agenda. Rather, it is an example of the newspaper doing what it's supposed to do. Some people like that, some people don't like that, others do. And to that, I say, baloney, that's a red herring. It has nothing to do with why he did not run our letter, and I don't know why he included this paragraph. So he makes claims that he's looking out for taxpayers and tax revenue. And in a May article in the paper, he stated that he was going to make a public records request. And I wanted to find out if that has been done, how many times, what information did he ask for, and how many hours did you spend gathering that information for him? If you happen to know that off the top of your head, great. Otherwise, you can email me at some point. You want to email?
Yeah, I'll email you.
Okay. So about asking tough questions. When I read that paragraph over and over and over, and when I read the May and June articles, I don't see tough questions. What I see is speculation, innuendo, and statements. To me, that's nothing more than a witch hunt. So why would I say witch hunt? Why would I say something so inflammatory? I say that because when I know that there is absolutely zero scrutiny to other taxing districts within our community, and I see the overzealousness to this one, I have to wonder why. So I'm not a regular reader of the APB, but I went through them last week to find out where he would get the information for this paragraph, why he would feel that way. And the only thing I can come up with is there was a photo of former Chief Kaninsky in the paper in May of this year, and the caption started off with, "Can't keep a good man down." I don't know what that has to do with anything, because nobody was trying to keep a good man down. A man said, if you don't like what I'm doing, fire me, and you fired him. So to me, what these questions are, what these statements are, these innuendos are really just a rehashing of the firing of Chief Kaninsky. At some point, Mr. Grubb and the few people who agree with him are going to have to let this go. Former Chief Kaninsky has let it go. He's moved away, he's sold his house, he's living somewhere else, he's got a job that he looks quite happy at, and I hope that you're able to move on before you do some serious damage to the fire department, because right now, it's so excellent that I'd really hate to see any diminishment. So, where does this basically leave us? I think you have to look at this realistically and say, haters are gonna hate. There's nothing you can do to stop them, and there's nothing you can do about them. But what you can do is ignore them and keep up the good work, which this contract is, of which that is one thing. Know that your good work is greatly appreciated by me and many, many people in this community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. You've taken a lot of words out of my mouth with this. I won't go into comment, but I really thank you for your little speech. Thank you.
Is there any more comment?
Do you have a comment?
Yes, sir. Yes, go ahead. Thank you. In running for commissioner, I didn't find haters. I didn't find a witch hunt. What I found was a lot of people saying that they would like the fire commissioners and department to reach out to the community for their ideas, because they don't necessarily feel welcome to share their ideas. And a lot of this, basically, that's basically it. People want to be asked what they think. People want to be polled for what their ideas are. I think it's just a method of openness and involvement that I think is people's issue. That they wish to be polled for their ideas and feel part of what's going on here, so that they can be as supportive as some other people. So there was people, when basically why I ran was because of what people were saying and what I thought on my own. There's no hidden agenda, nothing like that. Some things happened. The outsourcing of contracts, the fact that the community wasn't consulted before the contract. These are issues that stick in people's minds, and they feel like they're out of the loop, that they're not being honored as stakeholders, taxpayers, and clients. So I just like to say, in me running and all the votes that I got, they weren't about people meaning anything but the best for this organization and all the people involved. It wasn't about that. It was about the method of involvement. The attempts of involvement don't necessarily meet people's demands. For instance, these meetings, for instance, I work, a lot of people voted for me work. These meetings are this time of these meetings. None of the other community meetings, well, maybe there are some, I'm sorry, I don't know. This is when people work. So often it seems that you'll get people here who are retired or part of the organization. And so I think so a lot of the feedback that you may get are from the organization itself. And they appreciate all of you and all of this, and that's great. But I think some people are just saying that isn't all who's paying the bills and all who's receiving the service, and they would like to be part of that. Part of the way things are done here. Not a criticism, necessarily, but they want to be an ongoing part of it. So some ideas came up, like what you're doing now is great, comments at the beginning of the meeting. Another one.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you right there,
Okay.
Johnson. The reason why is because if you look back into our meeting minutes, that's subjective, and you obviously didn't do your homework. All of our meetings, except for only a few back in 2012 when things were very violent at the meetings here, have always had public comment. Now, we have the right to remove that public comment if we have a special meeting and not have that. But if you look back at the meeting minutes, which go back, I believe, until 2011, you'll find very few meeting minutes that didn't have any type of public comment. So I guess as the fire chief of the organization, when we have the obligation to fulfill a duty to the community and all that visit here, just not to the taxpayers. Our responsibility is to everyone that crosses that border and decides to spend time here on Point Roberts. The bad thing is that there's only a certain amount of taxpayers who support the functions that we have here. So the subjectivity, as the fire chief, hearing subjectivity like people are saying 911 doesn't work at the Shell station, okay? That is complete misdirection to the public because it's absolutely not true. Other conditions that this building was fortified back in 2009 or 2010,
Absolutely.
somewhere in there, for earthquake ability. But yet, your material says that we need a building that can substantiate an earthquake, which it was back in 2009, 2010, brought up to the current codes of earthquake standards. So these are things that the people saying these things, and I have a lot of respect for you. Okay? And if you become one of my commissioners through this vote process, I hope we can have a very, very positive relationship because your obligation as a commissioner, as well as mine as a chief, the only obligation we truly have is to make sure that we give the best emergency services possible through the physical means that we currently have available to us, that we spend that money specifically for those emergency operations so no one ever goes without when they call 911. Okay, outsourcing contracts. Do you know how many contracts we've had in this district? How many contracts have we had in this district? What have I done since 2012?
It was, well, this is other, the two that were outsourced were the sewage treatment plant, or the septic system
Yeah.
and the roofing job.
Okay, now who did I approach?
Ones-
You never came and asked me who did I approach in the community. You listened to other people saying I approached no one, but my door was always open. Okay, for you to come to me before you put it into your commissioner brochure, okay, that we're outsourcing contracts. You were one of our painters. You painted 2 offices that we had here in this district. I don't believe that you're telling people like that. And I approached other painters as well, okay? So we had the kitchen redone. Do you know how many contractors in Point Roberts that I approached? 4, and one guy, Brett Nelson, okay? Who put in the new windows in the fire station? Brett Nelson, Point Roberts resident, okay? Who put in this carpet? Who put in the office carpet? Not this carpet, but the office carpet. Our carpet layer here, what's his name?
Brad Letts. Oh, sorry.
On Point Roberts.
Tom Carper.
Tom, I don't know his last name, but he's a Point Roberts resident. He did the work in the office, okay? Who did the bathroom work upstairs? Who put in a new bathroom for us? Brett Nelson did. Who did I approach for the roofing job? Chris. And what's Chris's last name?
Chris Kelly.
Chris Kelly. Okay? We approached him on numerous occasions, Chris Kelly. And then finally, we had to move forwards, and the Park District was having Mount Baker Roofing do the community center over there. So I stopped by one day and I said, hey, would you guys be interested? We tried to do it on Point, but we're not getting any feedback. Would you guys be interested in doing the fire hall? And they said, absolutely. Okay? Who did I approach for the septic? Neil Harvey, you didn't ask these questions, but you're putting the subjectivity out there that we're not reaching out to the community first. So who did I approach for the septic first? Neil Harvey. I had 2 to 3 conversations with Neil Harvey, and he was gone and couldn't do it within the time frame that we needed, because that was an emergency need. Okay? Because if it floods the clinic's shut down for a month at least, because of the cleanup they're going to have to do. I also spoke to Joel Lance out here in the parking lot and asked him if he wanted to be part of the project. And he said, no, he was too busy. And he was witness to that because Joe was out here talking to the other people that we had. So I had to go outside for that contract. Okay, who helped with that contract? That is the Point Roberts contractor. Peltier did. He was over here helping the contractor that was putting in the septic system over here. So your subjective misinformation to the public is what bothers me as a fire chief. And the things that you put in your brochure is misinformation to the public, and it's scaring the public, and it's misinforming them that we're not going to the public first here before we outsource contracts. We're an emergency services organization, and some things have to be done very, very quickly. And that's where I guess I wish he would have came to me and would have got the correct information versus listening to whoever you listened to, or decided to believe whatever you wanted to believe. Because we work extremely hard for this community. And I value you as a community member, I value you as a CERT member, I value you as a HAM member. I want to learn from you. But you also have to want to learn from me, because I have 21 years in this service. So I say, who's best to make choices to the community in emergency response? Is it the average person who doesn't come to our meetings? When we had our meetings at 7 o'clock, no one came. No one came. So we changed it to 4 so people with disabilities could actually have the lights and have the sunlight showing coming in and leaving this building. That's why it was really changed to 4, is to accommodate people with disabilities. Not to have less people come, because there's more people that have come since it went to 4 o'clock than there has ever been when it was at 7 o'clock. Okay? You need to do your research before you scare the public into believing that our services are failing them and that we don't have things in place. And if you become one of my commissioners, I hope that's how strong you become. That your obligation is to this district, okay, not to the subjectivity that's being played. You're to defend against that subjectivity as a commissioner, okay? And work with all of us to make sure we have the services available.
Sure,
Very serious business here.
sure. All I'm saying is one thing.
Hello, I'd like to say
Yes,
something else. Let's get real. I heard the phrase, what was the phrase you said about sickening? Our actions here sicken the community and sicken you. And then 2 paragraphs later you said we won't be negative. This is not running the Parks and Recreation Association. This is a $1 million a year world-class organization, operation with lots of moving parts. You just can't show up here and think that your responsibilities are to get more business for your friends. I've been involved with every contract that's come out, and I campaign on helping, I felt like we had lost our way a little bit. We needed something new and fresh to remind us as commissioners and the operations staff that we have a tremendous responsibility here that nobody else has. There aren't necessarily people qualified to handle this kind of complexity. We're also painters who are known for not showing up after they've cashed a check. We know who's good and who's bad. We know who should be asked to bid and who shouldn't be asked. And I'll tell you, more people are given an opportunity to bid than it used to be. And if they don't want to show up, that's all right. But our job is not to create jobs for contractors. And we're just not in that business. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jeff.
It's a process. We deal with mortality and morbidity on a daily basis. And if you become one of my commissioners, okay, I will respect you as I respect all 3 of my commissioners now. I know there's going to be turnovers as the years come along, right? But you called my contract a sweetheart deal. Okay, and I told the community that was in the paper.
those weren't my words.
That was in an email, and the email was from you.
That was someone.
So I can produce that for the public if you would like.
Sure.
I can produce that.
But,
Okay?
but get to your point, please.
So when I came here, I wanted to give as much as possible to this community, okay? And I was very frank and upfront with this community. And I hold my integrity to be of the highest value. There's days we all fail, okay? We all make mistakes. But hopefully we learn from those mistakes and we don't make them again, right? So by moving my new wife here, because I was married on Friday, so everybody, I have to have commitment from this district that I'm not going to buy my home and be terminated for no cause, okay? That I'm doing my job 110%. I'm giving everything I have to this community. I'm training all of our personnel. I'm offering courses and providing things that have never been provided by any other chief of this organization. And where do I get that information? From people that have been here longer than I have, okay? And from previous chiefs as well. So my dedication is to this community, and that's why I just closed on my house today, okay? And I'm moving. My new wife is going to be here. I want service when I need the service, okay? I don't want people who have talked about recalling the tax levy, taking us back to $250,000 a year. We'd have nothing. And an organization is not one paramedic, as once was thought and has been in the recent past, that one paramedic makes an organization. I am a participant in this organization, and I happen to lead it. But I am not the foundation. The foundation is all 46 people and the leadership that we have within the legislative branch with the commissioners. So, in regards to this community, my heart and soul are here because now I'm a community member. Okay? I'm here for the struggles, I'm here for the good times, I'm here for the bad. But my duty is also to make sure that any subjectivity is corrected and not allowed to turn into a big long mile of paperwork. And to make sure that the correct information is out there to the public. So, I love it here. I respect you. Okay? I always have since the first day that I've met you. And I hope that we can have a stronger relationship, whether you're one of my commissioners or whether you're not one of my commissioners. And I hope that for everybody that's not here in the public. Because these meetings are for the public. That's why we put the videos up on the internet so people can watch them at their time frame, right? And take their time. They can email me for a month if they have questions or want to see something added to meetings. That's well within their rights. But no one comes. Okay? No one comes to meetings, and it's not the time. Because at 7 o'clock, no one came either. So it's not the time frame. And I would love to hear from the public.
Okay. May I bring some of those ideas and comments forward from the hundreds of people, or sorry, the many, many people that talk to me? May I bring them to you?
You can bring them to me, and then I can present them to the commissioners.
Thank you.
We can present them, and then we can discuss them and see if they're viable for the organization.
Thank you.
But I can guarantee you that not every idea that I have, the commissioners accept. Not every idea that my personnel have, do I accept or have their needs. So it has to be a viable option for the district in order to improve services, not peel back services, but to improve services.
So my point is, by accepting people's ideas, you will have the support of the community like you've never had and no one ever has had here. By showing, by honoring people's inputs and hearing them and vetting the ideas, seeing where they may fit or not, you will have the support that you wish to have.
I hope so, Judson. I truly hope so. But I think we're going to have a failure in some people's frames that when they present an idea that we can't complete because it's not within our mission statement or it's not within our area of expertise or viability of our financial situation. Those people are going to be the bloggers that continue to blog subjectivity, okay? And nothing truthful about the organization. Because we need to have a meeting. You said you wanted to have a meeting? Well, I haven't got a phone call yet from you. So my seats in my office are still cold. And I'm here last month, 204 hours for the public to make a meeting with me and to talk about anything they want to talk about. And to open up any of our books that they want to open up. But we have to track it through public records requests.
Sure.
Okay? And people don't like doing that either. So I'm sorry that we can't put everything up on the internet. Okay? Because I need to be able to explain certain things within the jobs or the provisions along with the commissioners, they have to explain above and beyond me because the commissioners are my boss. But I can guarantee this community is that my dedication, my love, and my heart is here. Okay? Is here for me and my family, no kids. Okay? I don't have kids. But my family, my future wife. We're here.
Could I say thank you for moving here?
She just said, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Justin,
Thank you.
Thank you.
please, before you leave through the door back out, make sure you make an appointment with the chief today.
I will.
You know, and he knows when you're gonna get
Could
together.
we do that
But
now?
maybe you,
We need to do it after the meeting.
we'll do that right after the
Thank
meeting.
you.
Is that okay? So that
Yeah.
you have a firm
Thank
time.
you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going a little farther than I thought we would. One quick one.
We appreciate the open door policy, Chief, that you continue to have since you came here. And we thought it was a very eloquent presentation. We as well sent a note to the monthly bulletin here, a letter to the editor, the monthly bulletin. Thanking these gentlemen, the chief and the commissioners, for the $87 per year savings on our insurance, given the training and self-discipline that these gentlemen are passing on to their charges. We sure appreciate that. And as far as the Together in Unity, Commissioner Mersing on this side of the border and Gene and I on the north side have organized our Remembrance Day ceremony for tomorrow, sponsored by the chief here, and we're looking forward to everybody here coming out.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, one other thing, sorry. As far as the contract, the chief's contract, Gina and I, in our discussions, pointed out that even a mailman has got some kind of a guarantee of work for the effort that he puts in, so we saw absolutely nothing wrong with what went down here. We're happy about it as taxpayers.
Well, I wanted to say my contract is not the first 15-year contract in Whatcom County. The first one was Sandy Point, District 17, and he just got renewed for another 5 years, so I think he's into his 20th or 25th year down in Sandy Point. That's where the concept came from, was a long-term contract. Other contracts that are long-term are 5 years contracts. Lummi Island just signed a 5-year contract with their fire chief. So, my dedication, I can't say it enough. I respect everyone. I respect all people's opinions, but it doesn't mean that I can respond to their opinion or complete their opinion, right? It's things that I have to look at. Just like I said, membership has great ideas, but some of those I can't fulfill, right? Because we just don't have the ability to do some of the things they want to do. I hope the community understands that, right? I will use community contractors when I'm able to use community contractors, and they're competitive without source contractors. But I can't spend an additional $5,000 on a local contractor when I get a bid that's $10,000 less or $5,000 less on an outsourced contractor. There's laws regarding that, okay? Conflicts of interest start getting involved. We start showing favoritism, those types of things, especially when we have to go above the bid limit. And the bid limit when we truly have to go out to bid is $20,000 on public work contracts. Below that, I can search out contractors within the community, but I need the contractors to call, I need the contractors to follow up, I need the contractors to show up, and I need contractors to complete the work in a timely fashion because we are running a daily operation here. And the county and the community counts on us. Okay.
All right. Thanks for your patience, folks. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. We have the minutes for the last regular scheduled meeting and minutes from the special meeting. Jeff, have you read them all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read them all. Yeah, okay, you agreement? Are you in agreement with them?
Yeah, they're pretty good, I thought.
Okay. Somebody make a motion on that?
Okay, I'd like to approve the meeting minutes from October 14th and And want a separate motion for the other minutes?
No, you don't, but I don't think we need to.
Okay, then, and also the special meeting for budget discussions November 4th. Looking for a second. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions before we move on here? Okay, motion passed 3-0. Next item. Betty, go ahead.
Okay. The financial report dated November 10th, 2015. November warrants total $11,882.72. Items to mention over $1,000 would be the U.S. Bancorp credit card in the amount of $3,126.22. Volunteer payroll included in the warrants total $3,835. November payroll is $14,028.67. That consists of chief salary, $4,166.67, and assistant chief shields, $2,667. The volunteer portion is $5,779, and there was one event for each commissioner and the secretary. The total payout for volunteers, warrants included, is $9,614. Your October financial statements are in your meeting book, and I'm looking for a motion to approve the warrants for November in the amount of $11,882.72 and payroll for $14,028.67.
Thanks, Betty. Gentlemen, any further discussion on that?
No, I'd be happy to offer a motion, it being my turn, to
Very well. Thank you for that.
Also,
Any further discussion? No? Motion passed 3-0. All right, is there a budget update?
Yes, the budget update is on the bottom of your financial report as of October 31st, 2015. There's 19.41% left in the budget.
Thank you. Good, so we're staying well below, is there anything? Better than above. Chief correspondence.
We got a thank you card from a community member that we responded to, and they actually bought, was it coffee cards?
Tim Horton cards.
Tim Horton cards for the entire shift that responded to their emergency.
Nice.
And I kept them all. Oh, yeah, you like it. So they got distributed to the members who were on the call, and it was something very, very nice to receive. So thank you very much to the community member that did that.
Thanks, Chief. Why don't you keep going on to your chief's report?
So I still want to remind homeowners here to check with their homeowner's insurance company to see if they can get a insurance savings from our Washington Survey and Rating Bureau decrease from a 6 to a 5, also known as ISO rating for insurance. And average saving has been at least, I think, close to $100. We have $80-some back there. I heard from somebody the other day, I think theirs was close to $300 a year as well. So we'll do our best to maintain that when they come back around 2020 is when they come back to re-inspect this organization. I'm hoping that we may be able to acquire a new fire engine. Because any fire trucks over 25 years of age are a negative point value for this rating bureau. So to maintain it is our duty, and we'll do the best we can. Things might come up that we have no control over, but again, we'll do the best we can. My goal would be to reduce it again, hopefully to a 4, but I don't know how to do that yet. So our training records and stuff will definitely be improved and superior to what they were, which they were good this last time, but we're taking steps to make sure we're documenting every single hour of training that we have. So please check with your insurance companies for your insurance rates. There's no reports on any of the apparatus. Member roster, we decreased by 1, so now we're down to 45 members, 33 Canadian, 8 Point Roberts, 4 county. Of that 45 members, we have 4 paramedics, 15 EMTs, 6 of which are advanced EMTs, 3 ambassadors in the community, and 36 firefighters. Volunteer hours for the month of October, 3,104. Volunteer payroll, if everybody got paid, $11,008. Combined chief hours, I worked 204 hours, Assistant Chief Shields 167 for a total of 371 hours combined. Total calls last month, 9 calls. We had 7 EMS calls. We transported 3 patients all the way to St. Joseph's Hospital. We had 3 no transports, and we rendezvoused with North Whatcom Fire Rescue for 1. We had 1 agency assist was to law enforcement. We had 2 fire classifications. We had an outdoor burn. It was not permitted. And we had, did we have a vehicle fire last month?
Yes, we did.
We had a vehicle fire as well. Yeah. I don't remember that. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought that was wrong. I didn't want to have to correct it. So
Called me.
So, okay. Oh, you were related to the person's
Yes.
vehicle that caught fire. Yeah. So that concludes my chief's report.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, we have two more items left, and one of them is unfinished business, and the other one is new business. For the sake of this program, Chief, would you mind if we do new business first, if you give a long-term planning on those?
Sure. I think that might be a better way to do it anyway. So.
What is your new business item, long-term planning?
Long-term capital expenditure.
Long-term capital.
Capital expenditure.
You want to hit the front? So, with conversations individually with commissioners, with the overall direction of the organization, making a budget, those types of things, we think it's very, very important to show what our future projections are in the short term, medium term, and long term. So we've gone out to 10 years at this point with our projections. And within this, I just want to explain what's up here on the board so everybody understands. There's probably going to be more added to this as time goes by, but the public needs to know, reasons why we are putting away into our reserves and why we're planning for this time frame in our future. So within the next 10 years, we're going to need to obtain a new engine. The years behind the item is how long that certain item should last us if it's purchased new. There's, and this could change. We may go for a new apparatus, lease an apparatus, go for a high-quality used apparatus. Different avenues we can take, but these are new purchases, so the cost of new today. So if we wait for 3 years, obviously there's going to be some inflation added to these costs. So an engine, usually life service for fire department engines is 20 to 25 years. Ambulance, we're going to have to replace 850-02, which is our white ambulance. It's a 1991, and you can usually get 20 years out of an ambulance, depending, especially with the call volume that we currently have. A brush truck to replace Battalion 58. We could go with the same type, but if we go with a true brush truck, the cost of those is around $160,000. Staff vehicle to replace the utility, the Ford Explorer, and the staff vehicle we just purchased was right around $60,000, the Tahoe, with all the lights. The truck didn't cost that much, but all the lights and everything else added to it. You start getting into the $50,000 to $60,000 range. Immediate purchases, which will be discussed by the commissioners. Bunkers, which are the coats and the pants that we wear in structural firefighting. Average cost of those, depending on the contract that we're able to piggyback on, So just to let you know that when I go out for big purchases like this, there's GSA contracts, there's MPP Gov contracts, which is affiliated with iChiefs. There's Washington State, which is the GSA contracts, and they have vehicles, they have different items on there that may fit what we need. And we always look at those contracts. Then we go outside of that and we look at contracts that are with some of the bigger suppliers that are open-ended for other organizations to tag onto. So to give you an example, the last purchase I made was 10 to 15 sets of bunker gear, and we tagged on to the competitive bid process that Eastside Fire and Rescue did with Ellen and Curtis. So to put this in perspective, for an organization like ours to go out to bid for 20 pairs of bunker pants, we're never going to get the same bid price as an organization that needs 200. So the volume of tagging on to organizations that have more personnel that would get better rates for us is advantageous for the taxpayer's dollar. So that's the bunker gears. That's something that's going to have to be done within the short term. SCBA, I've talked about SCBA at numerous meetings within this year, and I will be completing another AFD grant. Very, very hopeful this time around that we'll get that awarded to us. I will know basically on my birthday, the first part of February, if we're awarded that grant or not. If we are, it's going to save us basically $180,000. That's the most recent bid I received from MSA, which is one of the fire service SCBA manufacturers. We're waiting on Scott as well, and we'll see what their bid is too. Currently we have Scott SCBAs, and we would like to stay probably with what we have because we're trying to be workable with Delta Fire Rescue because they would be our first mutual aid. They currently use Scott apparatus too. So interchanging respirators, face masks, tanks, things like that would be much easier if we're compatible with each other. Search and rescue and emergency, they have universal fittings, so it doesn't matter who we go to or who with for emergency operations in SCBA. Building, we've looked at, we're going to have to repaint the building, repair parts of the building, the wood, those types of things, and I'll just let the public know that we have a roof leak over here that was noted over the weekend when it was pouring down rain, and it was running through the ballast over there and down the door frame and everything else. We were able to recreate it, and it's involving the left valley out here when you're facing the door. Is that correct, John? The left valley out here, which was not part of the roof that just got replaced. Okay? Yeah, it wasn't the roofing job we just had done. That was on the other part of the station. So I'm contacting our insurance company and we'll see if they'll have any coverage for that. Roofing, we'll have to re-roof this part of the station in the clinic at some point in the future as well. We're looking at probably $17,000 for that. The lifespan of the new roof, 25, 30, maybe even 35 or more, depending on the material that was chosen. Flooring within the station, so I'm talking about the carpet, the apparatus bays that look horrible. All the public walks through them, they see how beat up they are, those types of things. There's flooring out there, bays, office, and training room is what I've added into that. It's not something that is immediate. It's closer probably to the mid to end of the 10-year plan. But the carpet doesn't stay very sanitary when we walk in after we've been on a scene with blood and everything else, and we're tracking that through the fire station on a regular, wearing boots and clothing. We leave our bunker gears out, so people can't wear their bunker gears inside the station. If you see somebody wearing their bunker gears inside the station, please ask them to step out, okay, of the station. So parking lot, we resurfaced it just a few years ago, a couple years ago, and that's going to last us for a little bit. We may have the option to resurface it a second time to save the taxpayers money. But once it gets to a point to where we have huge divots and more alligatoring of the asphalt we currently have, most likely we'll have to look at replacing the whole thing. The bid that we got from, I believe it was Whatcom Builders, Commissioner, and that was a couple years ago, to redo the whole entire parking lot would have been approximately $130,000. So again, we have some time with that, but we definitely want to make sure that it's as smooth as it can be, so people aren't tripping, falling into stuff, those types of things, and getting injured.
Chief, I'd like to characterize the shopping list you have here. It should be said that these are must-do projects. We have want-to-do projects, we have someday my trip will come in projects, and we have must projects. And all of these that you see up here have been chosen going out 20 years for evaluation. They've been chosen to help create a relationship that we all have with the budget, which is sort of the big stone stela. It's the border, and that's why we're bringing up the budget now. We're bringing up as a separate situation, the financing of it. These amounts can be financed, and the evaluation so far to take these dates far out and sign them up for their time on the finance bureau. And that's it. When you take on a budget item, you breathe life into it. You double check it to make sure that it's in line with the mission and the processes. And then you become a purchasing agent and a financial investor. And the evidence of the complexity of this operation should become clear. And you should see, as it evolves, more evidence of the budget moving the process, and it's been enormously helpful for me. And it was one of the things that I campaigned for when I came on, and we have some very competent people that come to assist us in that way. Thank you. Eddie?
Thank you. A budget like this, it starts off as a wish list. And then after a couple of years, if you don't do anything about it, it becomes an evil necessity list. And then if you wait a little longer, then you're down to 2, maybe we'll start all over again and you're in the hole real bad. So this is pure realistically speaking, a part of the budget that we have to adhere to. That if we don't, we blind ourselves. And it's all about the money, unfortunately, again, but it happens to be that way. But I'm glad you brought this up prior to the budget meeting that we're going to have in a minute or so, because this is something that us commissioners will have to think about, keep in mind, basically with any other further decisions that this board makes in the near future. Thanks. Go ahead, Chief.
So, as you can see, the projections that we've laid out, a total 1.3 million in expenses. And again, these are new costs, right? We're going to be looking at all avenues to try to decrease anything that we have to expend, obviously, so we can plan for even more future needs of the organization. But these are new costs for the apparatus. They're not used. It's not a lease or anything like that. These are new costs, and totaling 1.3 million. So hopefully it gives the public an idea of, one, the needs the district has currently and is going to have in the near future, okay, and up to that 10-year point and beyond. That these are going to have to be done. Vehicles only last for so long. And if we can't get to the public because we have vehicles that break down or that we cannot maintain, then that is a disservice to the public. So this is just projections. This is a good part where the public can step in and add ideas to what they would like to see the district have in the future. or what their projections on what the district currently doesn't have and what it needs in their minds. Okay? And these are ideas that will be dynamic over the years to come. And it's going to be fun to, once we start making some of these purchases, to put the actual cost in and show the public, okay, what the actual cost of obtaining some of these services or apparatus are. So this is a great way that the public can step in and participate. So just projections. So are you okay with me going into the levy options?
Could we
Yeah.
take a 5-minute recess?
You need to go to the rest of
Yeah.
The old Billy, yeah?
You want to call a recess?
Yeah, let's have a 5-minute recess. Now, warm up, we stand? Oh, sure. Okay, let's check it.
I think we all sat here long enough.
Okay. All right, so we're going to continue with the meeting. And I'm going to, just to let the public know and the members here and the commissioners, Patty received updated information from the county, which changed our levy options calculations from the previous meeting, which we kind of figured what we were going to get. I met with Janice Judge today, and had a nice meeting with her educating me on the whole assessor's process. The calculations are not final until they're final. Is the way that I can say that. That there's no good way to really come down to the penny of what our actual true levy is going to be. We have speculations, and I'll go through that on that. Okay, so this was at the special meeting. I put up a similar worksheet at the meeting we just had last week to show the public where the numbers are and what we could have depending on the levy increase, if any, the commissioners decide to take. So I'll also let the public know that the only levy increase that was noted in record at the assessor's office was one taken for 2012. And there was resolutions in the November of 2011 that asked for, I believe it was a 1% increase in 2012. So since the levy has been put in place, that was the only one that went into effect January 1 from a decision that was made in 2011, November of. So and that's in resolution form. So we didn't take one in 13, 14, or 15. Okay? So we haven't taken a levy increase. The only one we've taken by record is 2012. So we've recalculated, we've become more specific to the numbers that the assessor actually uses. Okay? So this may take a few minutes to explain, but I want everyone to understand. All right, what the numbers we're working with are. So, the 0% increase, okay, here, 0% increase. Our 2015 total levy was $537,320.30. Okay, so that's the number that we go off of. We start from there and then we add things. So, if we don't take a levy increase over here, we add the $537,320.30 to the potential extra income from the special contracts, the contract with the community, with the clinic, burn permits, and I think that's it. And then we have ambulance transports, but I always leave that zero because we never know if we're going to get reimbursed or if we're going to even transport to St. Joseph's during the year by this district alone. Now we take somebody all the way down to St. Joseph's. If we take a 0% increase, add the 20,700 to the 537, we get a total projected budget of $558,020.30. I went through last meeting, which the video's up on the website. Last meeting I went through the entire budget, line item per line item, and explained to the public where the money is situated, and it's from our projections of what 2016 inflation may be, or if we're outspending a certain line item or division this year, which we're not, we're all within our divisions, and we project for the next year to the best of our ability. Some of those line items go up, some of them go down, and it all comes out to $549,294. I'd like to state that the majority of this increase from the $537,000 in 2015, the reason why it jumped basically 12,000, okay, is because we have 9,500 set aside that we had to go into the audit line, because it's looking like we're going to have another audit coming up in 2016. So we have to pay them to come here to look at our books and to audit us and to let us know if we're doing everything great, or let us know things, areas that we can improve upon.
And we had an increase for the radio tower.
Oh, yeah, and the other increase, so the 9,500, and the other increase is because of the new communication system we have on Whidbey Tower. We're under contract, a monthly contract with them, and so that's a yearly payment that we have. Currently it's $400 a month. It's a public document. $400 a month. Every year it goes up by 3%, and I believe, I want to say it's a 15 or 20 year contract.
3 times 5.
So it's a 15-year contract with them. So we have to, that's $5,000 a year plus 3% after this, just that's a round figure. And then we have maintenance, normal maintenance on our radio equipment for that tower, and our radio equipment down at Prospect and at Washington State Patrol, and also at CBP to make sure everything's functioning the best it can. That line item took up $2,000 for the ongoing PMs. So that's where we came up with 549. If you take 0%, I have $8,000 left if I spend every single penny of the operational budget, okay, at the end of the year. So if I don't spend it, $8,000 goes into reserve. Is that correct, Patty? Am I saying that correctly? Okay, just verifying. 1%, so the assessor's office says 1%, but 1% really isn't 1%. Okay, when you look at the numbers that they give us, it actually equals out to 0.92941%, which equals the 49.9391. Okay, you could take a true 1%. Okay, you could take 1.13% if you wanted to, but that really complicates things in levy increases. So just to let you know, calculating this out, it's actually 0.929 to get the theoretical 1%. And the 49.9391 at the cost. So if we take a 1% or the actual 0.929, okay, it adds right at $5,000, okay, to the 2015 year budget, which brings it up to 542, 314.21, plus our expected extra income through contracts over here. It gives us a total operating budget of 563, 15.21, minus the operational budget that has been placed for 2016 of 549,294, we have a reserve capacity of 13,720.21. 2%, I'll let you know that we calculated it as a true 2%. Okay, so that was one of my conversations with Janice Judge down at the assessor's office today, is to make sure we did that calculation correctly. And that calculation is based off of the 2015 year budget of 537, 320.30. So 2%, that gives us an additional $10,000 in the budget. You can follow this across, add it together, it's 548. Add the 20,700, gives us an operating budget of 568, 766, 61, minus our 2016 projected budget of 549, 294, gives us a reserves or capital reserves of 19,000 and change. Follow the 3%, that's a true 3% as well. It's not like the 1%, it doesn't equal out to a different percentage over here. This is a true 3%. Follow that along, you add everything minus our operational budget. It gives us reserve capacity of 24,845 into most likely capital reserves for the district. The maximum we can take, okay, and this needs to be understood, the maximum we can take that's allowable by law, okay, is 3.70762%. That is given to us by the assessor's office. Am I misstating anything, Patty?
No, except for the third column over is the 2015 levy rate. That's our levy rate, not our actual budget this year.
Right, no, this is the levy we had, in the actual levy from the assessor's office after all the calculations were done was 535, 320, 30. Okay, so some people will say, well, the 4%, right? Well, no, 4% is more than what we could take. We can only take exactly 3.70762%. That is a bank capacity. So let's talk about bank capacity. We don't have the funds from the public, so we don't have tangible dollar bills. Setting in an account, because this question was brought up at the special meeting, we don't have money setting in an account down at the county. It's theoretically on paper of money that we can go out and acquire from the public if we so choose to take it because of operational or reserve needs that we have coming up in the future, as was presented in the previous slide with our projections. So, the full capacity that we can take, we cannot take more than 19,921.79. That's the full capacity we can take if this commissioner panel so chooses. If we add that, coming around to the 2015 year, actual levy gives us a 557, which is the max that we can take, okay, in 2016. 557, 242.09, add the 20,700, gives us a total of 577, 942, minus our 2016 year budget, gives us $28,500 into capital reserve. Okay? So, in addition to this, this is where it becomes, you can't count on the pennies until they sign it and say this is what you get. New construction, which is estimated from the assessor's office to be around $3,135.87. Is it just new construction, Patty?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so new construction, we put in subject to change because we won't know this until we get the final paperwork from the county. But this number here would be added to our complete budget. Okay, so this is all we can take, okay, from the tax, but the new construction is in addition to that. So it would really be around $560,000. Okay? So the maximum we can take, levy capacity that can be taken for 2016 is the 19,921.79, or the 3.70762%. Patty, am I missing anything?
No, that's plain law.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any, before you start your discussion, do you have any questions on this presentation?
I don't know if interjecting it at this time is correct, but it's going to be an additional amount to the taxpayer.
Yes.
So per, say, 100,000 assessed value, what approximately is the additional amount to the taxpayer for 100,000? Anybody have any idea of that, Patty? Roughly $6 a year.
About $4 to $6.
Yeah.
$46 per
Depending
year.
on the percentage, yeah. I
And
did
go.
just an estimated calculation of what the levy rate may go to. And like I said, that's not.
That's a very good question. That's a very good question.
But right
And
now,
I'm sorry, I should have done those calculations.
No.
This year's rate, so this is equating to rate, not necessarily dollar figure, but the rate currently is 0.8974, and it goes on. But based on a 1% increase, it would go from that 89.5 cents to 91 cents. So it's very minimal. It's about a couple pennies. Yeah.
So I'm just using it in my own mind, and here's the deviousness. We've saved the taxpayer on the insurance quite a bit of money, and we're asking, if we go to ask for this, we're asking for a very small amount to help us achieve our budget. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's why I was looking for that figure. I think it's about $5 or $6 for 100,000 assessed value. That's just,
Per percentage? Is that, I'm asking that question.
well, the dollar amount is if your property is $100,000 assessed value, the increase per year is going to be roughly $5 or $6 per
Is that per percentage, Stan?
That's what I'm
Or if
asking.
you take the
Is
top?
that just for the 1%, or is that for
That's the
the
whole
max?
thing. I'm talking about the whole thing.
If we took the 3.7%,
Because you're at such a low tax rate.
That's right, Chief, it is. I calculated it at 4%, and on a $200,000 home, assessed value, the difference would be, the extra would be about 12 or 13 bucks.
And that's at the 3.7, at the 4%?
he actually
4%.
did it high. So.
Yeah.
So see, somebody else has been thinking along the same
And that's
line.
annual.
I just thinking, you know,
It's annually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're turning, I ask a question and I turn around with the justification in my mind is that we've gone to the effort as a fire department to save the taxpayer that owns property. Quite a bit of money per year.
I totally agree with that. You can go one step further and that's why we have this other budget on the screen here about capital expenditures. We need to understand and believe that we're going to have extraordinary expenses in the next 10 or 15 years. And they'll have to be addressed, and then we need to save a little bit of money. Now, 4%, 3.7%, sounds a lot, but like I just said, on a $200,000 your difference in property taxes is 12, 13, 14 bucks a year. So it's minimum in my estimation, in my looking at things.
I want to point out that the figures you're giving are calculated estimates. Okay, they're not hard line or to be quoted as somebody said this and it's actually this. So I'm sorry, I did not do those calculations, and it would have been a good calculation to have up on the screen. So my presentation's done. So if we turn on the lights and commissioners, please feel free to ask any questions or discuss amongst yourselves.
No, that's all right, no, please. I've already been talking, so go ahead.
I'm talking to somebody else. Coincidentally, when we showed the 20-year,
The 10-year, yeah,
the 10-year,
yeah, projections.
we talked about how we're going to have to fund, finance, spending
Correct.
to get these things as they became absolutely necessary to buy, like the truck, maybe it's holding us back from a higher rating of
Correct. Yeah.
our ability to answer the call. 19,472.71, 2% levy increase.
This one, the
What are the
2%
reserves?
line.
the 2% line,
Yeah.
The very end, what goes into reserve, 19,472.
the 19,472.
If you take that 19,492 and multiply it by 10, one for each year going out, you will have financed the entire capital program for 10 years. You see it right
Looking
there.
at prior programs, yes.
Because that would be, if we took that, if we did this by 10 years, it'd be 194,000. If we did that by 10 years. So we'd be able to pay for bunker gear in our SCBA by taking that 2%.
We'll pay for everything, but this is the finance arm. Now we know where the money is coming from
Yeah.
to get to the projects when they're needed.
He's talking about leasing finance. So I just want to make sure everybody understands, you're talking about financing the trucks, those types of things, to have this type of payment over the years would most likely pay for that type of, that needed financing.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a bond.
Right,
Yeah.
I get it.
It,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. That's correct, he's correct.
So, yeah, I understand.
And as far as when I asked for, and you talk further, the final thing about that number is that it's not going out and costing the taxpayer any money. From a financial accounting point of view, that number up there is capital. It just moves from one asset column to another. It will cost the taxpayers some more money, but it will not increase its rate. It makes any sense.
Yeah. Oh, in the end here, Jeff, what do you feel is reasonable that we should have covered?
I'm a big,
Board number 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm a big fan of karma. I think 2% is telling us it's all that.
Stan, have you thought about it some more?
Well, I've thought about it since the last meeting, and of course, where I'm coming from, on for taking the 3.7. And I think we should keep up. It's kind of like rent on a building. If you don't keep up, it always hurts deep, come 10 years down the road.
Yeah, later on.
What if that number is too high? What if we set it in the past with limited information or no theory or philosophy necessarily?
We might be out a few dollars. I mean, there's a lot of theory involved here too. But the numbers won't change that much. I know 4% was going to be 4%, but it really isn't. There's a difference there, you know. But the numbers, at the end, the numbers will change. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And that's that. If you're realistic, you will understand it, and I think you are. Stan, what do you feel? What do you feel is reasonable and it's financially not only achievable, but it's also responsible?
Well, I think I'll use the word prudent. I think it's prudent for us to take, in my opinion, the 3.7, all rounded off, 3.71%. I think at this time, that's the prudent thing to do. And because we need, the budget is going up. We've had, naturally, it's going to go up.
Yeah, we also have some expenditures that we haven't counted on.
We have talked about a lot of expenditures. We didn't pay for the radios.
Yeah. Patty, I got a question for you. Does our bank capacity disappear after so many years if we don't use it?
I would have to ask that question.
I want to say, I thought I read it. Meg, do you know?
I think it's 6.
6 years? So after 6 years, if we don't use the capacity, it starts getting ticked off. Okay, it starts disappearing and we lose that ability. So if it is truly 6
We should
years,
check on that, but
Yeah.
that's my recollection. Last
I
time we
thought
went
there was
through
a
the bank.
stop point
There
where
is.
because we can't bank it forever. Okay? So there is a time frame that if we don't take it, we've lost it. And we've lost that ability to pay for future needs.
Well, that's good to know. I didn't know that. It makes total sense that you lose it, otherwise, you know, how far do you go, right? So it's better than to take one this year, otherwise one next year after we're going to lose one year. I've given it a lot of thought, and I think it's prudent that we go with the 3.7%. Stay on top of things. I don't like the parallel thing, but I like to really stay on top of expenditures. And since there's a minimum expense to the taxpayer, I'm one myself. I think it's really important that we stay really healthy, that this department stays healthy as can be. Anybody you guys want to discuss it any further? Before we take a vote?
My friend here said, he said tonight. We have $700,000 in cash in various reserve accounts, investment accounts, savings accounts, and cash flow accounts. And they're all in $5,000, that we already taken that.
But that's because we have to be very prudent and we should not forget that this organization has to stay very liquid. We need a good certain amount of cash in the bank as really ready reserves. Because if nobody pays any more property taxes, we have nothing. That's what this whole thing is calculated on, property tax payment. So you may as well take off a good $400,000 or $500,000 from those reserves. Those reserves that what I just mentioned, the operating reserve, which every well-respected department has, and not only in the fire service, but in parks and recreation and other ones, and hospital institutions, to anyone that is dependent on tax code, on property tax payment. You can't really touch that. That should stay in reserve. It should be locked up almost forever. So we don't have $700,000 ready for us to buy things with. We can, but then we're going to be irresponsible. So we only have maybe $200,000 or $300,000 that we can buy things with.
If that, we've got a fire engine that's approaching 25 years old. We know we have to replace it. We have an ambulance, same situation. We know we have to replace it. You take those two numbers against our capital reserves, it's only that much at all. I'm sorry, that's what I see.
But it's a very expensive, operating idea here. Things cost a lot of money in this building. What we do.
Okay, do you have the statement in front of you of what's in our investment account, what's in our savings? It should be in there, but I was wondering if you have it. So the public can know and understand what those are used for.
And
And it would be,
I just brought the income statement.
Well, that should be real.
yes. So, just for knowledge, and I believe Commissioner Wilmot's close. And I do agree that if we liquidate all the funds that we have now, we have zero. We have nothing for that time frame that taxes aren't paid. So right now we have in our general investment account, general cash account, we have $160,593.37. General investment account, we have $109,535.81. Our capital reserve account, we have $240,666.90. That's not a good number. And the reserve savings, which is approximately 6 months of operational expenses. So we have a specific account to, if we do have a catastrophic tax collection failure, that we're able to maintain this district functioning for at least 6 months. In that account, we have $258,552.26. Okay, so we have 2, 4, 6, 69. So we basically have about okay, it's a rough estimate, $770,000. And Commissioner Wilmot said around $700,000 in accounts. What we need to understand is that reserve savings is something we don't want to touch because we have to make sure that the district is viable in an extreme downturn and still able to provide service. The general investment account and the general cash account equal $171,000 together. And then the reserve account, the capital reserve is $240,000. So whatever that equals to be, so 270 plus 240, roughly, 410,000, something like that.
Can I ask you that your cash account is $60,595?
The general cash is 160,000,
160.
593.37.
And then 109, 535 in investment.
81 is in general investments, that's correct. And this is all public information. This is all things that the public has the right to know. Come in and ask.
Well, on the website.
It's, well, this is not on the website.
Doesn't mean you get a website.
No, it doesn't, yeah. Like, it's something that I would like to explain, you know, so people fully understand and we don't get subjective references out there about the finances we currently have.
Well, I'm going back to what I'm saying. You're talking these dollar amounts, and it all sounds really pretty on one side.
Right?
The other side is, as I said before, we've got a fire engine that needs to be replaced, probably within the year. We've got an ambulance, same situation, and a brush truck, you know, maybe we wait 3 or 4 years, but, you know, right away, that eats that amount up. That's
Right, it takes away all of our reserve.
exactly. The thing is, it's the other side of
It
the coin too.
doesn't, generally, it doesn't.
If we spent everything with cash, if we lease, if we go out into a lease option, then obviously, as Commissioner Wilmot has pointed out, in our leases, maybe we're spending $50,000 a year for the leases that we have out versus dumping all of that cash at once. And it's very viable to do that, okay? Very viable because it helps us reserve more funds in case of a catastrophic event of some sort. So I know many districts that lease apparatus, right? That lease apparatus, they put a down payment on it, and then they lease it. But your lease payment, you have to claim for it. And that's usually at the cost of a new apparatus, is usually that range of $30,000 to $40,000 depending on the interest rate and how much money you put down. And Commissioner Wilmot is absolutely correct that we can spread it out. It's not all at once, and I know none of you would ever agree to dump everything that we have, right? All at one swell swoop. So. You know, I want the public, I guess I don't have any say in this. I want the public to know that whatever the commissioners decide, it's because we want to make sure we're able to continue the services and make the services that we currently have better. And make sure that we have the operational things that we need to produce for the community. That's how I see this levy decision by the commissioners. And again, I don't have a vote in what's done. So
If you would better vote, you vote for me.
okay, so you brought up the hypothetical. I would actually go or side with Commissioner Wilmot in not taking the full capacity, and I'll tell you why. Is that we have been prudent in our decisions for this community, and we've done our due diligence in saving for our future expenses. The community those who have taken advantage of the ISO change. Back here we have $89, I think. I don't want all of that eaten up with an increase that we take at 3.7 for somebody. I'd rather bring this in, we won't lose anything. I'd rather bring this in over a couple years. Take the 2%, if I had a vote, take the 2% this year. Take the additional next year, so the public has the ability to plan and foresee and understand at this, versus dumping, even though it's a small amount, that amount at such all at once could be a large amount for some within the community.
Okay, Chief, you basically uncovered yourself here.
So,
And let me take it one step further. Since you don't vote on this, and only the 3 commissioners vote,
yeah.
I do appreciate your input though. If we tell you 2%, or over 2%, if that motion for the resolution passes, can you, as the chief, and can your partner in crime, Patty Markel, can you work with that? Can you still adhere to the, obviously you can work with the budget, the yearly budget, but can you work with the capital expenditures that you so nicely put on the screen there?
I believe that if we take a 2% this year, we take the remaining percentage next year, so we don't lose it. We don't lose the security for our viability, financial viability, which this public does depend upon because it serves through the emergency services we're able to provide. We're talking about a year.
Okay.
And I truly believe that having it to 2%, when we have where are we at? The 19,472, that's the minimum that would go into reserve. I do my best due diligence possible to spend the money that we need to spend to provide daily operations. And if I can save, right, I will save. And over the last few years, we've at least saved, I don't want to throw out a number, over $20,000 additional. I think that's safe to say. Maybe it's not. Don't put that, don't quote me on that number. But at least $20,000 additional to what I had in already reserved for capital reserve. So this is the way I see the budget. I can spend this every dime if necessary to provide what this community needs and so desires in the emergency response that is our obligation. I don't touch this number. Okay, so I never look at the capital reserve in the line item budget at the very bottom. I never look at that as money that I can spend or touch. Okay, so I always look at that this is a zero go for me. So this, in addition to whatever else I do not spend, if possible throughout the year, goes into the capital reserve. So I could possibly say that $19,000 could turn into $30,000 at the end of 2016 because we don't spend an additional, $11,000 out of the budget. And those are just numbers I'm throwing out.
Chief, you talk like a politician.
Ooh, yeah.
What is your final answer now? Can you work with 2%? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, I can work with 2%. I think 2% is a just increase, so we don't lose it. We don't lose that value the public has allowed us to bank, okay? And we're able to put it towards the obligations that we have. I think 2% is a just approach, I feel, to the public as well. Some people will obviously never like it.
Steve, is it a yes or no question?
And I understand that, so I'll stop talking. And yes, I'm fine with 2%. Thanks, Commissioner.
That took 6 minutes.
Well,
Okay, appreciate your input. Now, having heard that, I can see a logic. We can come back next year and do the same thing. I'm going to, without talking political stuff, but I'm not having a
Well, if the chief can live with it.
Yeah.
I'd like the three of us, this is an important topic. I'd like the three of us in unanimity.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
We should be able to agree on something. If there's just three
We
of us.
already have.
Well, I haven't agreed on 2% yet. I'm ready to. Let's vote.
Okay, guys. What's it going to be?
Maybe it is.
Who wants to put a motion on the floor that they, by the way, do we have those resolutions? And
Yes.
Patty has everything for you guys to sign, depending on which way you decide to go.
okay,
So
It's only 2% with it, right?
all right.
straw voters,
Somebody put a motion on the floor to accept. What is the resolution number for the 2%?
Patty, do you want Patty to read the resolution?
Yes.
Or why not?
We actually have two resolutions. And these are the same resolutions that have always been passed. The only thing changed was a little bit of verbiage for the percentages and the dollar amount. This is resolution number 2015-03. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire District 5 has met and considered its budget for the calendar year 2016, and whereas the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire District 5, after hearing and duly considering all relevant evidence and testimony presented, determined that Whatcom County Fire District 5 requests a 2% increase, property tax revenue from the previous year. In addition to that, resulting from the addition of new construction and improvements to property and any increase in the value of state-assessed property and amounts authorized by law as a result of any annexations that have occurred and refunds made. In order to discharge the expected expenses and obligations of the district in its best interest now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire District 5 that an increase in the regular property tax levy, in addition to the increase resulting from the addition of new construction and improvements to property and any increases in the value of state assessed property, is hereby authorized for the 2016 levy in the amount of $10,746.41. Which
This is the levy increase amount.
Of 2% from the previous year, adopted the 10th day of November 2016.
Okay, so that's the way all the resolutions read for the different percentages, okay? But you still have to make that motion if you want to go that way.
So don't we have two resolutions we have to do?
Yeah, the other one is the approval of the budget.
Yes, and the
In
other
general.
one is simply, and whereas the attached Exhibit A, which is just the resolution, or I'm sorry, the 2016 budget.
Okay.
And what number is that, Lenny? Put that on the sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2015-04.
All right.
04.
So we
And it
have
also, it corresponds to the dollar amount that would be levied based on the percentage that you choose.
Right.
And then the budget is attached to it as well. And
Okay.
03 goes to, resolution 03 goes to the assessor's office, and that's what
That's
they.
right, that's the one that got to go in there.
So we're essentially making a motion to approve resolution 2015-03 and 04.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's make two motions on that, because this is pretty darn important.
Okay.
One motion to approve 03, and the other one to approve 04.
Okay.
Second?
Oh, that's good. You made the motion?
Yeah, I'll make.
You made the motion, I'll second.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion?
And this is for the 2%.
Yeah.
2%. And then you're making a motion for 04 now?
Yeah. Make the same
Okay, and I'll
motion
second.
for 04, and then you can second that if you want. We're all in favor of both motions?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for your explanation. I have a motion for adjournment.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, you're missing an agenda item, aren't you? Need to go forward and back? Oh, the operational budget.
We got the operation budget. To let the commissioners know that we did add the ATV line item that you asked for in the last meeting. And the line item budget was $300 for ATV repair and maintenance. And that's something that was missing from the last meeting.
All right, thanks.
Okay, sorry, so you ready to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, yeah.
Yes. Good night.
Okay.
Yes, and
Yeah.